So welcome back. This video has been recorded a couple days, several days after I've installed some different parts for an overlanding trip that's coming up next weekend. I'm not really sure exactly where that's going to end up at. Might be in Georgia, might be South Carolina. I'm not really sure yet, but I have some good ideas in mind. But anyways, I have quite a few parts I've wanted to install on the truck, trying to do somewhat of a budget overlanding build, or actually just finish it off. But Tread Auto was really nice. They sit on a bed mat. I've actually, of course, already unboxed it, and I'll show you that unboxing because, like I said, I've done that several days ago. I let it lay out in the sun for several hours. The card that comes with it says 24 to 48 hours, but honestly, with the quality, the Tread Auto, and again, they say they're official license of Michelin, and I would say the quality actually stands up to that, and it actually has a plaque on it that says Michelin. But I would say the quality has actually been really good. I've actually had it in the truck now for 3 or 4 days. The truck came actually with some bed liner, spray-in bed liner from factory. But this will actually be really nice to actually lay my mattress on. And also just, there's things whenever I'm going overlanding, even just grocery shopping, so they won't like sling around in the back of the truck. So very happy with that. And also just to spray it out will be nice. One thing I was very impressed with this from Tread Auto is the first thing I got out of the box. A lot of times when you get something that's a rubber product, it's gonna have a really odorous smell, but this product did not. There was no odor whatsoever when I first got it out, did not have to air out. And like I said, after about 2 or 3 hours, it was ready to go. I'll show you that in a second, what it looks like in the truck. Actually, I installed a portable battery station along with the charger that I'll be using on the overlanding trip. And that charger actually charges to 500 watts. The battery is actually a 2 kilowatt battery. I have some other things coming up that I'll actually be in a separate video that I'll be installing that I think will be very helpful in overlanding. And I'll do a separate, like I said, I'll do a separate video on that, and I think it's rather interesting because it's kind of somewhat of a custom setup for myself anyways. Now you might find it useful and you might want to do a setup that's the same, and just as always, I'll add all the parts I use in my description. I'll add the links for Tread Auto's bed liner in the description below, as well as the Dabbsson battery or truck charger or alternator charger, and their Dabbsson 2 kilowatt battery station as well. But let me show you what this looks like, kind of what I came out with. I actually, in this video, you'll see the install of the Dabbsson, I think it's Dabbsson, 500 watt alternator charger. I'm actually going to show you it in action, and actually the final product of what actually I ended up with and how I mounted it. In the beginning or somewhere in this video, you'll see that I actually mounted it initially with zip ties to a MOLLE mount, which you also see me install that. It's a part from Amazon. Again, the description or the link for it will be in the description below too. It was rather cheap for both side panels. You'll actually see how I modified my GM bed lights because I had to because of the MOLLE panels. But let's go ahead and dive in. I just wanted to kind of do a quick introduction of what this video is about. And let's get started. You can see it's packaged very, very nicely. Coming out of the box, it's very well wrapped. They send you a nice card here. And inside of it just has, the TP truck bed mat, the user guide. So basically just some installation information. It looks like it has some very nice sides. Looks like it's gonna have very nice protection. And it's pretty basic of how to install a bed mat. So you're supposed to let it lay in the sun for 24 to 48 hours. You know, it says in the cold weather, let the mat warm up indoors to regain its shape, which is pretty warm here where I'm at. I think it's right at 70, 80 degrees. It says quick fix, weighting down the corners with heavy objects or using hot water can help smooth out creases faster. I may spray it with some hot water in a second. There is the crease there in the center, but I really don't think that's going to be any problem. What we're going to do is we're going to let it lay there for a few minutes and let that crease try to leave while we actually get started on putting the MOLLE panels in next. So let's go and get the MOLLE panel package undone and go ahead and get those started putting those in. So these MOLLE panels are not a sponsored part. I just bought them just so I can actually mount my alternator charger with, and honestly, in case I needed to mount like a shovel or just some various other items, I felt like MOLLE panels could be just kind of helpful. So these look pretty simple to install. We'll get the parts unboxed here. It looks like they actually did include some straps if you need those. And of course your installing parts, your parts that you install it with. Some nuts and bolts. And the panels themselves. So you got actually 4 panels, both for the driver, 2 for the driver and 2 for the passenger. You can purchase all these items through Amazon. I'll put the links in the description below. Even the Michelin bed mat you can actually purchase from Amazon. So let's go and get started. Let's get these unboxed and let's go ahead and get them into the truck. The first thing you want to do is remove these plastic pieces right here. There's 1, 2, 3 on each side. So we'll go ahead and remove each one of those. Both the 3 from the driver's side and also the passenger side. And they're very simple to remove. You just pull them right out. There you go. So as always, I want to be fully transparent. If you actually have the GM lights, you are going to actually have to take them down. My plan is for right now, until I can get a way to better mount them to the MOLLE panels, is to use a zip tie. I think I can make it look pretty good and it won't really impact the functionality whatsoever. We're going to try that and then we'll figure out a way to get them actually tighter to the MOLLE panels. You'll see what I mean here in a second. It's the reason they won't fit. I don't know if they make any MOLLE panels necessarily where you can use the GM lights, or if you have these GM lights in the bed from factory. But we're going to remove this. It's just a 7mm if you've installed them, and if not, if you have them from factory, again, it's just a 7mm to take these bolts out. But let's go and get these removed, and I'll show you the other parts to this install in just a second. As you can see, you'll have plenty of cord right here to mount it to your MOLLE panel once we actually get the MOLLE panel in. You actually tuck it up. You'll see in just a second and hide the zip tie. I think it can be tight enough to where it'll actually be pretty solidly mounted. We're going to see here in just a second once we get the MOLLE panels mounted. I'm going to show you the mounting points on the MOLLE panels, how that goes in. And get those in first. I've already done the driver's side. I just wanted to do that first and kind of make sure I understood how they actually went in. And we'll get those in, and I'll show you step by step how that looks. Okay, so I'm going to try to show you on camera. You're going to have 3 pieces. You're going to have your piece that's actually going to go right here. But then you're going to have your piece that actually goes inside here that you actually will screw your nut onto. And you have your nut. Now, they do come with some black washers. What I've done, actually, the rubber, I put them on this piece. Now, I don't know if you should actually put them here or actually, sorry, I didn't show you that. The camera is in the wrong place. I don't know if you actually should put them here on this side. The instructions don't specify, or on this side. Honestly, for sound purposes, or to keep it from rattling, I'm going to put it on this silver side. And what I do is, honestly, to keep it from falling down, I've been actually putting it very loosely together. A little bit looser than that. And sliding it in. And there you go. And then you just tighten it with your hand. And actually it starts tightening. I figured it would kind of round robin there, but it does not. And it's a 13mm. I still don't fully tighten it. Just get it kind of hand tightened. until you do all three. And once we start putting the MOLLE panels up, we'll see exactly where they have to go. But there's the first one in the center. And they're all going to be like that. So I'm going to put the other two in place. And whenever I get done with that and get ready to put the MOLLE panels in, I'll join you back. Just 1 second. Okay, I got the first one installed. I wanted to do that one on my own. I'll show you how you do that. It's really just kind of playing around with it, making sure you're kind of getting it even. The quality is actually pretty good, actually, for this Amazon. And again, I think I paid like $120 for this. As it shows you, I'm going to have to mount this. And the good thing along the edge here, it does have these holes. So I think I could find something if I wanted to in the future to put a bolt or to re-bolt these. But for the minute, I am going to, like I said, I'm going to zip tie this probably about right here. And that's going to be a-okay for the moment. I have some smaller zip ties and I can get them pretty tight. And they actually, you know, of course, they're still going to work, no problem. They don't take up much room right here. It's going to be just fine being in this right in this location. Ideal? No, I'd like to put them back in their stock location where they were, but it's not going to work with these MOLLE panels, and that's okay. But anyways, let me show you how you actually put these in, or how I did. Very simple process. It's not bad at all. What you're going to do is basically you're just going to line them up with your holes here. You want to try to get them as even as you can to start off with. Make sure your holes again are lining up. These larger holes, again, that's where you're going to actually have your section. You can actually tighten these 13 millimeters up. As long as they're even, as long as everything looks like it's lining up between the 3 holes here, you're good to go. And what I'm going to do then, if it's even, and it looks pretty good right there actually, I'm going to go ahead and tighten these 13 millimeter bolts up as tight as I can get them, and hopefully not move the brackets in the process, because we have it even, or where we want it. And if we do, I'll come back behind it. I am going to come back behind this with a socket wrench. Well, see, there you go. I'm going to come back behind this with a socket wrench so I can tighten it just a little bit more. I may have to adjust it even more. I don't know. We'll see. But let's see if that looks still okay. I think that this one needs to come down some now. I think I can still move it down some. Alright, I think we're going to call that good. I'll show you what screws you need to use for this. And this might just need to come up a hair. This side, if I can get it up just a hair. There we go. Okay, let me show you what screws you'll use for this. It does come with a tool, of course. Everything basically comes with an Allen key anymore when you buy a kit of something. So it comes with the screw, a washer. Now I use rubber washers over there. I don't think there was enough. I should have actually thought that through, but that's okay. It comes with metal washers. That's going to be all right. I was trying to deaden the noise a little bit, but I guess you weren't really supposed to, but that's all right. I don't think they're going to be loud anyways. So we'll start off with the first one. Kind of hand tighten it first, if I can get it. If not, it's all right too. And you don't want to tighten these fully because, again, you might need to adjust them here in a minute once you get all of the panels put up. Okay, there's the first one. Same procedure, just, you know, you want your screw and a washer. And truth be told, you're probably supposed to use 2 of the rubber washers on the brackets. But again, no instructions, live and learn. It's going to be okay. Or well, the instructions didn't specify about the rubber washers or the metal washers. That's the only bad thing. Okay, got it started. Okay. Make sure you leave yourself some play. That one's a little bit too tight. That's okay. Back it off just a second there. Okay. Got some play there. Okay, to the next one. And the final one, on this one anyways. Then we'll start on the other panel. Don't go full time. Again, you want some adjustment. That one's good. So we have some adjustment forward and backward. Okay, get the next panel and last panel here. Okay. Still want to make sure everything lines up. I'll move you down here so you can see. The biggest thing is you want this as close to even as possible. Is it going to be perfect? It may not be. But you do want to try to get it as close as you can. Okay, the back side's going to come down. And that'll be it. I think after I adjust that just a smidge, it's going to be good. And that's got it. So what I'm going to do is going to get these in, and I'll show you the finished product here in just a second. All right, guys, so here's the finished product. Again, I know they are zip tied, but they still work. Both lights. I will get them mounted back with some screws eventually somehow. But here is the MOLLE panels. They're fully installed on both sides. So next, we are going to put the auxiliary charger into the truck. My idea or plan is, hopefully, is to mount it somewhere right about here. And I'm going to run the cord somehow down from the bed, down to the actual bottom there, and actually run it up to the battery. I have not unboxed it to see exactly what's included, but I think it's just one large cable that runs directly to the battery. So let's go ahead and get that unboxed. Let's go ahead and get it mounted, and let's go ahead and run the cable, and that should be really about it. So this really shouldn't be too hard to install. There is the alternator charger right here, and it's good for 500 watts. So we'll charge it to 500 watts, and the battery I got, I think, takes 2.5 hours to charge. And again, it's a Dabbsson. The cable to your battery is rather thick, so it's going to go underneath the truck. And here is a part that will connect to the battery, both positive and also negative. Very well marked. Here as we go. Here is the part that will connect to the actual alternator charger. Then you have a breaker cable, and this will go into your breaker and then also back to the positive, and then this positive will also go into your breaker. And here's your output cable. That's all there is to it. Mounting wise, again, we bought the MOLLE panel just for that. Again, for mounting purposes, it came with screws, so we don't have any bolts. So most likely we'll have to make a trip to get some bolts. And in the meantime, just to kind of get it mounted up, we will actually use some zip ties, and I'll actually go to Lowe's tomorrow. And I'll finish this video off and I'll show you actually it mounted up. I'm just kind of talking and telling you that I'll have to mount it up at the moment with some zip ties to keep it held into place. But right now, let's go ahead and get the cable ran. The actual power cable ran from the inside of the bed down to the actual ground and then out to the battery. Let's go and get that process started, and I'll show you where I'm running it down from. What I'm going to try to mount, the cord is actually through here. So that's what we're going to do. I don't know where it comes out at exactly. I think it's somewhere in the tire well, wheel well, I should say. So we're going to take the cord, or the cable that runs to the battery, and start running it down through there. Let me set you up somewhere if I can. I know it's kind of getting dark in here. I think we should have enough cable. You know, there should be plenty of cable, I do believe. So let's go out there and see where it ran to and kind of go from there. If you guys can see kind of where it kind of came in at or down from, it's right here, right in front of the driver's side or passenger side rear tire. So now we're going to run the wire, we're going to snake it going up front. I'm going to follow the passage or the actual route that I've taken with a lot of my other wires. I do think there's going to be enough wire. We're just going to be very cautious about the path, try to be as clean with it as possible. But again, that's the biggest thing, is making sure we have enough wire. As you can see, it's snaked all the way up to the front tire now, but yet we have to go up into the engine bay. Let me go ahead and start running it, make sure I have enough to get to the battery. I'm not going to hook it up to the battery right now. I actually have to wait until I get everything hooked up into the alternator charger first. But let's just get the wire ran first, and I'll come right back. So this is a very simple positive and negative to the battery. So what we're going to do is disconnect the battery, just hook the positive to the negative, or positive to the positive, negative to the negative, and we'll be good to go. So let's get that done, and I'll join you back right when we get it done. Oh yes, it's also a 10mm if you haven't watched any of my videos so far. We do have the wireless switch panel. The only downside of this one is, I believe, where it's such a high, wattage, or where it requires so much wattage, you actually do have to wire it directly into the battery. So that means my switch panel is going to be wired directly into the battery, and this will also be wired directly into the battery. I think the battery can handle it no problem. We'll just kind of keep an eye on it, make sure everything's okay for a little bit, but I think for just our purposes, for just charging it and turning it off when we're not charging, it'll be absolutely okay. So let's go and get this hooked up and go from there. So we got it hooked up, so theoretically it should just kick on when we turn the breaker on, but the vehicle's not on right now. I'm just gonna leave it off just to test it. So we're gonna go back there and turn the breaker to the on position, and just see if a fan or something like that kicks on the alternator charger. So let's give it a shot and just see how it works. So guys, more or less, I got the actual alternator charger mounted. As you can see, I did have to use this for right now, but by the time you finish this video, it will be mounted correctly. I just wanted to show you kind of so far what I've done. I do have the output mounted here. Again, it's just positive, negative. This is what you will charge with your charging cable that go directly into the battery, the Dabbsson battery. I think they make some different connectors that you can buy to charge different power stations. It does actually have a way to turn it on and off, so it has that. Here's the wiring. It actually runs down in the bed. I have all of it zip tied up. All I have to do left is actually hook it up to the battery, and we'll be good to go. We'll just make sure it turns on right now, and by the end of the video, like I said, I will test it out, make sure it works correctly. It's supposed to charge at 500 watts. It's just nice that it actually does have the breaker to turn it on and off. I do think it is actually app managed as well too, which is nice. But we'll just give this a go. We're going to hook it up to the battery and go from there. As we hopped in the back of the truck, I hope you enjoyed the install of the alternator charger. I'm going to show you the final product of how I mounted it up. I think it's actually Dabbsson, the 500 watt alternator charger. I'm going to show you in action. I discharged the portable battery station by about a couple of percent. I'm just going to show you how fast it charges, that it's charging at 500 watts. I did actually run it completely down. It came charged at 60 watt or 60%, I believe. They recommend any type of battery station to make sure you discharge them to about 10%, and then charge them fully back up. In that 60% for 2 kilowatts, I was able to charge my drone several times, or well, actually just once, and my phone once. Run my workstation. I work from home, so I was able to run 3 monitors, a laptop for about 4 or 5 hours. And several different other items before it actually completely died. And that was at 60%. So I think for overlanding, it should last quite a while. I would like to have a portable air conditioner, which I'm kind of holding out for Prime Day, and that's in a couple of days. And I hope it would come in time for the actual trip. But we'll see how that works out, because it's kind of getting pretty hot. It's actually very hot in the back of the truck right now. And also maybe another cooler, because I need another electric cooler, because the one I have is kind of small and quart size. But anyways, I'm going to show you how I had a final outcome of the alternator charger. Now this is not this may not be permanent because I would like to have more of a waterproof solution. This is supposed to be a waterproof bag, but I did have to actually hole punch 2 slots in the back of the bag, and I continue to use zip ties because it's actually pretty sturdy. And as you can see, the wires are still running in from the back of or from underneath the truck into the bed. But it's pretty nice. I mean, as you can see, I'll show you here. This bag's pretty nice. And it was cheap. I mean, I think 20 bucks. Well, that's actually not the right pocket. So it is zip. Let's get the zipper here. And it opens right up. And there is the charger. Let me see here, sorry. And here's the cables. So this is your charging cables. And there's your the charger, of course, and your fuse. So the only thing I don't like about this one is, in particular, is it's mainly set up just for this type of battery station. Now, not all your battery stations are going to have this type of actual connection. I know my other 2 battery stations or battery packs do not have this, but again, I still have my 12 volt I can use. It's just quite a bit slower. But let's go ahead and give this a try. We're going to hook it into the back of the battery station. As you can see, this thing is rather large. I think it weighs about 40 pounds, give or take. But we're talking, it is actually 2 kilowatts of power. So that's, I think I was just testing, I was running a couple percent out, and I had 50 watts of items charged, and it said it would have 25 hours of power left at using 50 watts. And you got to think a diesel heater uses maybe 50 watts overnight. So you for sure would have enough power to run a couple days or a couple nights of diesel heater during the winter months. Especially if you have, your charger and you can just drive around if you're going trail driving, charge up the battery while you're driving. No problem. I mean, having plenty of power for camping, overlanding, 2 kilowatts of power is plenty. And I'm sure, coming up in the next couple days with the Amazon Prime, that this will probably be on sale. I think that this one was on sale on the Dabbsson website for $50 off. I think it was maybe $500. But for 2 kilowatts of power, that's pretty cheap, because I saw that some of the larger batteries were around the $700 range. The reviews on this one are actually pretty good for a cheaper battery. It does act as a UPS. I might be wrong with it, but it's a battery backup. So if you have it hooked up to your electricity and the power goes out, it'll actually back up whatever is actually hooked into it. I think it's a little bit slower kicking in. So I think it says in the manual, it says not to have anything that you rely on data or anything like that. But just for like a refrigerator or something like that during the winter months, this would be handy. And I guess that's one of the good things about overlanding, even though some of the things are rather expensive, they're rather practical, because I mean, a lot of these things you could use if your power goes out. I mean, this battery pack, I have 3 of them, 2 smaller ones in this one. I could run probably the refrigerator at least for a day. I have, lights and things like that. I now have, a way to take a hot shower, which I've showed you that in another video, with just some of those propane, small propane canisters. I have a way to refill the propane canisters now, which is pretty nice. The things you use for overlanding or camping is also practical for if the power goes out. And it's just things are to make yourself self-sustainable, off-grid if necessary. Maybe not for long periods of time, unless you have a lot of gear, but at least for, a weekend or something like that during the winter months. But anyways, let's go ahead and get this hooked up. Let's see how it works. Let's see if it does do the 500 watts. I did test it. I turned it on. It does give it an error unless you start the truck up. So make sure you have your truck running. Makes sense. It's 500 watts. It's trying to kick out. So you do need to have your alternator running. So again, let's get this started up and give it a try. So what we're gonna do next is just kick on the breaker here, and hopefully it works. You'll see it before I do. Well, there's a flashing green light, so I got an error. I'll have to figure that out. Give me a second, guys. So there it is, guys. I do think it charges at 500 watts. Let me actually here in a second. I'm updating the firmware right quick. And I might have to turn the breaker of it off. It says to change the setting of 500 watts. Okay. Now, let's do the 500 watts here. Now we should be able to charge at 500 watts. Okay, and there we are, we're charging at 500 watts from the alternator charger right now. And you know, you could charge in the back of your truck while you're driving down the road. Your battery will stay charged. And again, I mean, like with this, you could leave it open, or I mean, again, you could actually, I think, you know, what I'll probably end up doing is I'll end up tucking my wires kind of back in here, how much of a wire I need. I'll just kind of end up closing the bag a little bit, you know, just so it won't be completely like willy-nilly or spewing around everywhere, you know. Just kind of like that. And, you know, you can put your battery wherever you want it to, but that's kind of how I'll just drive around. And I think, you know, honestly, I think this battery, I think the battery will do really good. I'm really excited to take it out on the first trip and see how it does and how long it lasts and if it's really beneficial. But I hope you all have enjoyed this video so far, or have enjoyed the video. The next video will actually be an install of a water setup I have, a tank, and actually a pump. So I hope you all will, you know, subscribe, and actually, if you want to see more installs, if you want to see the trip coming up next weekend, just stay around and subscribe. But until next time, guys, just stay driven. Bye.